All right, I think we have everyone. I'm really happy to be here with you all, and I think I know some of your names a little better, maybe, after that, at least this side of the room. As it says on the screen, we're going to be looking at creating a school calendar to start with, and I like to think of it as beginning with the end in mind. We have the school year stretching ahead of us, and Lord willing, we'll be able to make an impact from now until May or June, whenever you happen to get out. But it is important to begin with the end in mind. I wish Callie was here with me. Kalisha is such a huge part of this presentation, but also my life. So a couple of years ago, Kalisha and I started meeting online on Zoom to plan together for a math pilot, and it just changed into something more. Now we plan a lot of lessons together. We're team teachers in a way, and I know that those of you who know Callie are missing her energy and verve today, but if you don't, hopefully you'll get to meet her. This first half of the presentation is hers, so I'm going to do my best to communicate her thoughts. So the single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. One of the most important things in communicating your goals to students, to parents, and to yourself, really, as you're planning, is to start with the big picture of a calendar. And these 4 steps can help you in doing that. So the very first thing you're going to want to do when you're thinking of planning your year, and as we're thinking of doing some planning this week, is to consult the conference calendar. And then you're going to pick your format. How do you want to put your calendar together? And then you'll put the dates in based on priority, what's most important first. And then you're going to double check that you have the right number of days and the right number of hours. So we're going to go through these 4 steps in more detail. First one, consult your conference calendar. How many of you have access to your conference calendar already? Let me just see your hands. Excellent. So most of you know where that is and you've already seen it. If you haven't, you can get that from your superintendent. Oftentimes it's on your conference website. Do we have that available for you? Excellent. So your conference calendar is in your folder. Wait, how many of you have access to your conference calendar? Yes, everybody. Thank you. I love that. Okay, so once you have your conference calendar and you're looking at, okay, what's the date that school begins and when does it end? There's some flexibility there because sometimes you can contact your conference and say, hey, we want to start, say, on a Wednesday instead of a Monday, but we're still going to get the number of days in. That's up to you and your conference and your school where you're at. But once you have that, then you're going to pick your format. So you can use Excel. That's my preference, Excel or Google Sheets. I like working with that. But Word is another great option, or Google Docs, or either tables or cells, whichever you prefer, or maybe another format. It's up to you. This first one is my calendar, and the second one is Kalisha's calendar for Charlotte Adventist Christian School up in Charlotte, Michigan. Just remember, school year starting, keep calm, and color code your calendar. So I love the colors. In fact, the Michigan Conference calendar, when we turn those into the Michigan Conference from our schools, we have to have like a specific color so they have it formatted so they can see easily across the board, no matter what school they're looking at. But I don't do that for my personal calendar. I do it for the one that I turn in. You may want to do it the same, or you can do it differently. But okay, once you've looked at the conference calendar and picked what format you want to use to start entering in your dates, then you can start putting them in. So prioritizing looks like what is required, starting there. You might look at the start and end date. What conference-wide events are there? Like in Michigan, we have LIFT for 7th and 8th grade. There's outdoor education. There's school vacation dates. And when do the quarters end? When are your testing windows? And then there's the additional options that are also important, but they're not those required events, so like your school programs, Christmas program, Education Sabbath, any field trips that you want to take, Spirit Weeks, surface activities like your Bible labs, and then Kalisha puts in her students' birthdays on her calendar, which I think is cool, and then it's published to the families. You may choose to do that in a different format. Maybe you want to send that out in a newsletter, but you get to pick in many ways what events go on your school calendar. Of course, if you're in a larger school, like Kalisha and I are both in one teacher school, so we have, in a way, more free reign with our calendar, but if you're in a larger school, you obviously want to consult with your principal or other teachers so that you're coordinating together. Remember what that first slide said, that illusion is that communication has taken place. That's the problem. So, okay. This is a sample from Kalisha. She has this beautiful color-coded system, and it's really pretty. Yeah. So you can see she's blocked out the different things in different colors. So teacher in service, school board, first quarter end, those are all yellow. She has week of prayer in blue. She has her birthdays in orange. That's her husband's birthday on October 30. Now she can add in Kaven's birthday on July 24. So that's exciting. Yeah, and then once you've got those dates in by priority, then you're going to look back in your calendar and make sure that with those vacation dates, with those teacher in-services that have been taken out, do you still have the right number? I took a job making calendars, but my days are numbered. Sorry, that's terrible. Okay. So when you're counting your days, you're going to want to consult your conference requirements. How many days do you need to have in your school year? Count full days, so 8 to 3:30 or whatever your schedule is. Count half days and minimum days. So if you're getting out early for parent-teacher conference, or if you have, I guess half days would be like, sometimes you get out early on Fridays. All of those add up differently, and then you'll need to adjust according to requirements. Yes?
Just maybe
yeah.
maybe mention that this would be on Padlet.
Yes. Okay. We interrupt this for a public service announcement. All of the presentations for small school workshop will be put onto Padlet. How many of you used Padlet before? Anybody used Padlet? Okay, I see a couple of hands. So let me just exit out of here for this PSA. Okay. Sherry has kindly sent a link for this Padlet to your email. On this Padlet, we have the columns labeled as the days of the week. So we have Sunday through Friday, and in each day, we have important information that you can keep forever, as long as the internet works. So for today, you have our contact information and a worship thought, and then documents and things that you might find helpful that are connected to each day's presentation. So you will find a link for this in your email, and this presentation will be put up on the Padlet when I'm finished, as well as any other links of things that we're talking about. And if you find something that you think is really cool that somebody's mentioned in a presentation that you don't see on the Padlet, just let myself or Lisa know, and we can get that up for you. So we want to make sure that you have these resources to take with you for the rest of the year and for as long as you want them or need them. Thank you, Ruth. Okay, so going back to hours now. So you have a required number of hours that you have to be using for instructional time during the year. And again, you can consult your conference requirements for that. You will want to know the start and end time for your full day of school, your half day, and your minimum day. And then you calculate each of those separately. Like, I have 40 full days, and then I have this many half days. So calculate them each separately and then add them together and double check or triple check. Like, I always get that wrong. I try so hard every year, and I double check. And then I'll get an email back from my conference secretary. Actually, it hasn't happened. In the last couple of years, it's been better, but I used to always get that wrong. Okay, so let's review. Number one, what will you do first? Good. And then number two is you're preparing to put it in? And then? Number three? Good. And then number four? Good, double check, and then adjust if you need to. Okay, so this is my part, down to the minute, creating a daily schedule. So you've looked at your whole year, and now you're going to zoom in on each day of the year. We divided this into 4 steps also. It does start again with consulting your conference daily schedule analysis. Do we have that available as well? Yes. For each conference, yes. So you can consult that, and then again pick your format, and then you're going to put in your core subjects first, the required subjects, and then put in your optional, and then you're going to check your minutes. Very similar to what you did for the yearly calendar. This is what the calendar, the daily schedule analysis looks like for the Michigan conference. And it's in table format, and you just calculate up. And you have to fill this out and turn it in as part of your opening report for the school year. When you're picking your format, it may be something like this. And again, this will be on the Padlet, so you can get a closer look at this on your computers. It might look something like this. This is mine, because I love color coding. This is the overview. So I teach K to 8. So I have, like you can see at 8:55, the first blue row says math/ELA rotations. This is an overview of what we will all be doing. But this next slide is my specific small group rotations and blocks of time. So it's the pink is my group time. The green is what I would like. I'm sorry. The pink is Monday, Wednesday. The green is Tuesday, Thursday. And then I have 2 columns where the darker one is me and the lighter one is my aide, because I have a full-time aide. And then the side is like, it's breaking down the small groups. So I'm planning for, like 4 to 5 math groups a day. And then I kind of alternate. Anyway, everybody's going to do it differently, but I do my format in Excel, and that's what works for me. So checking your minutes is key. So once you get done putting it in, you're going to go in and double check. And this is just a quick look at how somebody had totaled theirs up. Okay. Wow, that was fast. Now I know that I have 40 minutes left on the clock almost, but we have one more thing. And this might take some time. So Kalish and I wanted to give everyone some time for brainstorming and reflection. So this is some time just to take some notes on your own, and then we might just have a little bit of a longer break time where you can get to know us, you can get to know each other. Maybe Ruth has some other things, I'm not sure. But this time first is just some time for you guys to start planning your calendar and your schedule. So when you're creating a calendar, what events come to mind for your own school? A good place to look for ideas for events, if you're not part of a larger school, would be the Small School Survival Guide. So if you're one room and you're the head teacher administrator, the Small School Survival Guide is a great thing. And I'll put that on the Padlet. Has anyone seen that already or used that already?
Is this it?
Yeah, it has the life preserver on it. That's it. So you guys, yep, you've got that. That's a great place to look for ideas. And you might start thinking about colors if you want to color code, which really helps the brain, yes.
Is it counted for the whole year or month by month? Is it, I guess, is there a standard or?
So are you
I was just gonna do it month by month.
Oh, you can, but you want to have the whole year planned out, and you can divide it month by month. Yeah, in fact, like looking back, let me go back through here to some of these example ones to see kind of what you're, like this one?
Right,
Is that kind of what you're asking?
It's month by month instead of like, here's my whole year.
Yeah. And right, you may want to format it this way instead of formatting it like, whoa, where did it go? Well, this one kind of does month by month. Is this kind of what you're, Or do you just mean like a separate page for each month? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you can totally do that. So your conference might want a certain format, but then when you do it for yourself, then you can. Yeah, good question. Sorry, it took me a minute to figure out. Okay, yeah, do any other questions come to mind when you're creating your year-long calendar? Okay, and let's just talk for a minute about the schedule then, and then we can take some time to start doing that. Has anyone already done that? I know this is August, or not even August yet, I mean, so I'm not expecting, like, I'm just wondering. Yeah,
I have a question, because
yeah.
I'm from California, so how
Okay.
does the snow days work?
Oh, that's a great question. In Michigan, at least, we're given 5, 6 emergency days.
Oh, okay.
And so if you stay within that, you don't have to make those up. And if you go beyond that, then you're looking at maybe extending the school year a little bit. So that's the general policy. Sometimes the conference or the state will grant additional snow days. Like 4 years ago up in Grayling, we had what we called a snowpocalypse. And it was just like, we literally were hardly in school at all January. And even some into February. It was crazy. So we talked about making t-shirts like, I survived the snowpocalypse. But it was fun, but it was also hard. We didn't get through a lot. But the state granted additional days in that case. Now, since COVID, a lot of schools have chosen to do distance learning or online learning in place of the snow days. I haven't, because snow days are part of childhood and beautiful. And it's good to have a break. We all need that. But in the case of like an extended weather event, that might be an idea that you could do too.
What if you just use 2 or 3 days, or that never happens?
Yeah, no, sometimes it does. Yeah, then you're totally fine. You don't have to adjust your calendar at all for that, really. You will have to adjust your lesson planning, obviously, but you don't have to adjust your school calendar at all. If I'm steering anybody wrong, please speak up from the back there.
Earlier, I mean, if you schedule the 6 days into the calendar, would you close the school earlier or something at the end of the day?
No, unfortunately, no. Nice try, though. I have thought about that. I'm like, so no, you're required to have a certain number of days, and then if there's snow within the 6, and the 6 days really counts for like emergency days too, like sickness, other things. But yeah, but if you use up all 6, then you have to start adding them on to the end. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I
Or
see
Sarah.
that on Padlet, you guys have almost, I guess, an example of a yearly plan.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
is that something that you guys would want us to just follow but tweak, but if we send it to the conference, they're expecting to see all of these?
So each conference is a little different. For example, I guess, where are you from?
Indiana.
Okay, cool. So I know for Michigan, like they started doing where you have to turn it in a certain format, and you need to follow, like, unless you get permission, you need to follow start and end days and the vacation days. You keep them pretty much the same. So the calendars that we provide, like in Padlet, are just an example of formatting, I guess. So you want to make sure that the dates that you use align with your conference. Because the ones that we put in here are Michigan ones, because we're both from Michigan. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Emily?
Yeah.
I uploaded my example.
Oh, good.
School calendar, because it looks very different than yours.
Yes. Okay,
Mine is just
thank
a
you.
one-page list,
Okay.
so parents get that at the beginning of the year, they have everything.
Okay, awesome. So that's Indiana too, by the way.
And
Yeah?
then I just wanted to say, there's a whole bunch of you that are here that you are not the principal for your school. In fact,
Mm-hmm.
you're at a school, you're only teaching 2 or 3 grades at your
Right.
school. So a lot of the things that she's talking about will be a school thing that the principal turns in. It's not something
Yes.
that you specifically will have to. This is for principals and one-room schools.
Yes, this is much more for that. However you may wish, I don't know, you may wish to have a calendar that you give to your parents for your classroom, like for field trips and stuff, and then you'd want to plan that within your whole school calendar. Yeah. So really more of it would, the schedule part is what's most applicable for many of you. So looking at how long your school day is. What?
Go back to your schedule that you have.
Yeah, I sure can. This one? Yeah. Yeah, and again, this will be up in the Padlet too, so it's something that you'll be able to look at closely.
One before this one?
I do, yeah. There's a couple of different ones there.
Is there anyone who didn't get a calendar in their folder for their conference and an analysis chart as well? Everyone's got it?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I'll make sure I can get this up on Padlet here in the next few minutes. It's important to think about the number of grades you have and how you're going to be instructing, like in your small group time versus your whole group time. Even if you just have one or two, well, nobody here has one grade, but even if you just have 2 grades, that still is, you know, 2 different maths and multiple reading levels based on your assessments at the beginning of the year. So, yeah. How will you combine grade bands? And then another question that Kalisha and I thought of was how long and how often do you want recess to take place? Because that's a flexible thing. As long as you have the required number of minutes for reading, math, social studies, science, whatever else, you can play with that. So you may want to think also like, do I want my kids to get up and moving every hour? Every, you know, depending on the age too that you're teaching, obviously. So, and our email addresses are also going to be in the Padlet. Okay. So we have about half an hour to play with here, Ruth. So if you would like to use that time to look at your conference calendars and get started on your schedule, if you haven't done that yet, we can do that. And we'll be available for questions, so we'll just try to rotate through. Any other questions before? Okay, awesome. Thanks.